Hi, this is Lee. I'm making a demo today for my website. It's a compilation of all my music over the last 12 months or so, and it's kind of a walkthrough video, bit of a tutorial. So if you want to do this kind of thing for your own music or for a voiceover demo or anything that you want to showcase, such as even an album, you can make a little compilation for your album, then this video might help you. So let's get started. So what I've got all my tracks here in a folder that I want to use snippets of, and I've got 42 of them. So yeah, that's quite a lot. So I've opened my DAW and I haven't really got a plan as such other than to group them together into sections. I think that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to try and avoid using swooshes and that type of thing to join them together because, I don't know, it's just, I think it's a bit overdone. So I'd rather join them naturally where they sort of fade or just naturally go into each other, but we'll see how that pans out. So I've got my first track here. So that's an orchestral one. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag a few in and see what fits together well. So, and once I've dragged it in, I'm going to move it out of the way. So I'm going to create another folder, because if I don't move them out of the way, I'm going to get very confused. So, used. So I'm going to pop that in there now. Now, I'm thinking, start with this orchestral one. So let's find a point that's good. I like that. I think that's the start of my little demo. Let's turn this snap setting off here. Don't need that on. You could do this in any DAW. I just use Cakewalk. I always use it. Right, let me find something that'll go with that now. So I'm just going to fade this out and see if that works. Okay, I think that's working. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, that'll work. Now, what I'm doing, I'm lining up the peaks, you see. So that's the peak there, and that's kind of the beat, if you like. So that's the first beat of a bar or a measure. Okay, and then I want this to match up with this peak here. So okay, I quite like that. Okay, I think I'm going to want to transition from this point roughly. I'm not going to use this rest of this track, so I've got to get rid of that. And I need something else to sort of jam into that. Now, they're all kind of... let's move that other way into the folder. For now, I'm just going to slot them all together and see what we end up with. So, come out of orchestral there. Should I go into something that's not orchestral? So it's a bit of a mixture. Just drag a few in and have a listen. No, I want something that'll go with that, really. So Cakewalk's got this media preview option here, and I'm just going to go to that. So I should be able to... Yeah. Right, I'm going to try hold me tightly. So I'm just finding the bits in the tracks that I want to use. So as you can hear, it sounds like a right mess as I'm doing it, but it's just to get a rough idea of how it's going to go. So there's the transient, which is the beats of the bar. So I'm just going to move that into... I quite like that. That'll work. Like I say, you could use little swooshes and zips and noises to patch these together, but I much prefer it if it's natural. Let's play that back a little bit. So to give you an idea, I'm looking for transients and I'm trying to stick to a beat. So for example, here's a transition I've just made. So basically I'm counting the beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm trying to cross on like the first beat of bars generally. And then here, if I zoom in, you can actually see the transient points where the first beat of the bar is. And so there I've done a slower fade in on the new track and a fast fade out, and I just think that works quite well. Sometimes it can be difficult to sort of see the transients on the timeline, so rather than have a tail on it, occasionally it's easier to chop the tails off, and so you get a very abrupt, you can find the basic stop point of the track. So and here for example, so together though, you know, they sound like this, so it's a definite cut. So I found the transients, and now what I can do, I can then fade from that point, so I'll mark it there so I know where it is. Drag this back to there a little bit, and there you go. Now that may or may not work, so let's have a listen. It doesn't work, so let's try again. So go back a bit. I'll try a different approach. I'll try a slow curve. And let's try a fast curve on that. Does that work? I'll decide later, but that's basic edit for it. So essentially just keep dragging them in, keep trying stuff out, listening, seeing what you think goes together. And in Cakewalk, every time you drag it onto a new track, it names the track with the name of the file that you've dragged in. So it's always good to sort of keep a sort of a set of steps really going down, for now anyway. And with this one here, come out of, well, let's go from here. So again, I'm just counting the beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on, let's get the beats right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. It seems to work best if you do it like that, I find. And then where this join is, you know, I've done this very, very tight here, so there's no need for any zips or whizzes or any sound effects. I just think that works quite well. I've had to lower the volume here to minus 0.6, just to try and blend them a bit, but I'll come back to that later when I've finished, or when I think I've finished and I've listened through. I'll look at all the levels later. So just listening back to this and this section here, I'll just undo it so you can see what I've done. It just seemed quite a bit longer, that clip, so there's not much going on in it. It sort of repeats, so I have reduced the length of that, and now I'm going to drag the rest of these up to it and see if I can get it to blend again, but in a different place. I'm sure I can. Just do some work on that. Zoom right in. Make sure I've got them both selected so that I'm moving both of these clips at once. Yes, I have. And then let's move that a little bit. I think that works. I'm happy with that. And as you go, I think it's worthwhile getting the files you've used out of the way. So yeah, this is how I do it. You don't have to do it this way. I'm just showing you how I do it. I understand there's different ways of doing it, but this is my method. So like I say, for me, I'm best to get these out of the way. So mission protocol. So mission protocol used. Next, it just gives me a clear view of what I've not used so far. As I said before, I'm finding the transient points and lining them up, which you can see here, but you don't always have to have an overlap. So for instance, this is the beat, so I'm just going to drag it straight to the end of it, tiny little fade, and then this basically is the start of that track, so that goes. I mean, to me, that just flows straight in. So let's go back a bit more. So, like I say, you don't always need to overlap or crossfade. You can sometimes just go straight out of one into another. So with that transition, it brought the tempo and feel down a bit. So I've gone now into another sort of chilled out feel. So now to the poppy one. This is more chilled, slower. And we go now. Very, very small crossfade into this one. And now I think I'll go into lo-fi or something like that. So with this transition, I realised that I don't know if it's in the same key, but it sort of blends quite well. So rather than do a quick crossfade or an abrupt cut, I've done a long sort of crossfade. So basically the track I'm coming out of has a fast curve, it's known as, and then the track I'm going into has a slow curve. And so that creates this sort of effect where you kind of hear a bit of each track at some point, maybe for about, I don't know, half a second. So here you go. So that's a little bit different to the others. And like I say, it's just a question of trying things out really, and then you get used to what will work and what probably won't. So let's carry on. This is an interesting little transition. So what we've got here, I mean, we could just get rid of that and just go straight in. We could do that, but I like this effect of the guitar strum, just bringing it in. So slightly different again. Sometimes it's good to use the end of a track. So for instance, I got the end of this one. And so I can go into pretty much any new track now from that end. So sometimes if you get to a point where you're sort of stuck and you think, well, how can I get now from one style of music to another? This works quite well. So have a listen to this.
Oh, tell me, do you love me?
What I've got here is 2 tracks with strong beats. So to make this work, I've got to keep the tempo going. So if you count with me, I've put this beat strategically in time with the beat that is coming out of. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Near enough. Let's move it a little bit. I think that works. Just go into this part of the demo. I've done an extreme cut here. There's no crossfade at all. I'll just play it for you. And then there's another one here. Now, the reason I've done this is you don't always need, in my opinion, you don't always need a crossfade. And I'll just show you what happened here. So if I go to the point where that is, there's no overlap at all. If I drag the tracks out, because it's so important as well to have an editor like this where you can slip edit. This is called slip editing. So basically when you move something, it doesn't get rid of it and delete it, it's still there. So now I can slip edit this and I can do the crossfade. Oops, that's a bit far. And this is what happens with the crossfade. I can hear the crossfade. And so I'll just undo that. And to me, I just think it's cleaner without the crossfade on this occasion. And it's piano notes as well, so you've got the melody lead on the piano there, and it goes into a piano lead, so dun, dun, dun. So they're just other ways of doing the edit. Now, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go through this again and just have another good listen, make sure I'm happy with it. And then there's a couple of things I already know that I'm not happy with. There's a few joins where I might use a sound effect. I don't really like to overdo it with sound effects. It always seems a bit of a cop-out to just smash it together with a big whoosh. So I'm happy with many of the transitions, but some of them I'm going to stick a little sound effect in. So I'm going to come back and show you that. And then the other thing now is, these are all slightly different levels, so I'm going to have to level everything up so it sounds like it's one track and, you know, it's not jumping around in level. So I'll come back and I'll show you how I do that. Welcome back to the video. It has been some time since I made the last clip, so it does take time to do these, and because I have so many clips, it's just taking me longer than normal, and it's probably not a great idea to have this many clips, but it's my own demo. The way I'm looking at it is, people won't listen to the whole thing. They'll listen to a bit of it and they'll either decide they don't like it at the beginning or they do like it, and they might listen to more of it. And if they are serious about using my services, they may well listen to all of it. So it's probably, everyone's going to say, yep, it's too long, but never mind. Right, so as you can see, I've done everything in steps. So you can see every piece of music going down in like a big staircase. And to just go through a couple of points, I've changed a few things around, I've changed a few tracks, but I'll just highlight some of the areas where I did chuck a sound effect in, just to see, you know, show you why I did it. And you might think it's better without, I don't know. But for instance here, So I stuck that in. Okay. And without it, I just thought it was a bit dull. So I just think it livens it up. So there was that one, and then what have we got here? We've got another one here, I think. Yeah, there's just a bit of static noise over that. I'll do it without. And with.
For the kid.
Yeah, I just think it added a bit of atmosphere. You may disagree, and that's fine. This is all about opinions and judgment. There's one here. Just a little bit of scratch. Without it. I just felt there was a bit of a lack there, so. And again here. This is going into like a comedy piece. So did like a comedy glitch. So I think that's it. There's a couple more, but you get the idea. Most of them are just straight from music into music, as I've been showing you throughout the video. So that's the entire thing. Now, the big issue now is everything's slightly different volume, isn't it? So what you have to do is level up the volumes, and the best way to do that, let's see if I can get this on screen. Right, so this is the console view on Cakewalk, and there will be similar on all DAWs, I think, all DAWs. So I've not done any audio processing on channels that have got music because they're already fully produced, and you don't want to start adding compression and EQ on that. You shouldn't have to be doing that. But where I've used sound effects, I have taken out usually just the lower end. If I turn the EQ off, there's a boom, and I didn't need that note in there, or that resonance, or all that low end, so the EQ just cuts it out, makes it clean. So I've only EQ'd on tracks that are actually sound effects in between the, to join the transition. Going back through the tracks, you see what's happened here is everything is all a slightly different level. So what I've done, I've played the whole thing. I've gone out of one track into another, and I've just carefully listened and matched the volume till it sounds right to my ears. And then what you end up with is you have to pull these faders down a bit, really. You can't start high, so you have to pull the faders down a few dBs and then start gradually sort of taking things up, and you end up then with let me just play this. Yeah, I mean, you can see this master fader here now. It's quite low in volume, so you'd have to be a bit of a genius, or spend a lot of time, I should say, faffing around getting all the levels until you've got this just where you need it. So the way to do this is to use a limiter or a maximizer, and I'm using this Ozone 9 maximizer, and I've set it to minus 0.5 dB because I want that to be my peak, because it's always tempting to go as loud as you can, which is 0. But the problem is if you do that, when you convert it then to MP3 and other formats, you get distortion. So it's best to sort of master it as a WAV with this setting. And then what I've done, I've brought the threshold down until I'm just touching the top of it, so it's just occasionally taking the top off the audio level. So let me play it with this on and you'll see what I mean. So there you go, there's a big peak there, so it brought it down. Little peaks there, you see. you go. So as you can see, I was just jumping around there through the music, and there's very few areas where it's taken the top off. But the thing is, the fact that it has taken the tops off a few of the transients means I can just make it as loud as I can without it distorting. And now that I've got the balance of all the faders and I've got the maximizer on it, then I've got the best level that I can have for my demo, which is what you want. You don't want people listening to something thinking, that's quiet. You can use a loudness meter as well, and you can just keep tabs on the volume that way as well, because you can see with this meter you get a visual representation. So yeah, integrated -4. It's quite loud overall, but that's what I want. It's loud, it's not distorted, it's not too loud. YouTube will turn it down if it thinks it's too loud anyway with their algorithm, so it's not a problem. So that's the demo done, and I'm going to link now to a video version of it that I've done. So by the time you watch this, I'll have already done the video version. I haven't done it at this point, but I'll also do a demo of how I made the video version of it. And I hope that was useful to you and gives you some thoughts on how you can make your own demo. And if you do need any help with demos, I do provide audio production services from time to time, so check out my website. But other than that, you can do all of this yourself. You just need to put the time and energy into it. Do your research. There's plenty of other people on YouTube, I would imagine, that show you how they do their demos. And so thank you for watching.